I'm going to share my screen. Okay, can you see that?
Yes.
Okay, thanks. All right, so I decided to name this Oil Education and How to Share, so that you know where to start and then how to go on to more than just using oils. For those that feel like they want to do something but they're not exactly sure how to actually go beyond using the oils. So the first step that I really feel like is important is just getting yourself familiar with the oils and oil literature. So kind of the terminology, because there is a lingo to using oils, and there is books, here's just a few books that I like. I actually really like this book also. It's called Essentials of the Earth. All of them are very similar but different at the same time. Some of them have more science, some of them have more recipes, more lifestyle type elements to them. The emotional one is really great because it talks all about each oil and how it emotionally can affect your body and what it does for you emotionally, which I think is really awesome, to kind of get a different than like the medicinal grade or medicinal use. You have the emotional use. I think it's really important to use the books or the Facebook groups, which I'm going to get into when you have questions, because it really opens your eyes to how the oils work. And the more that you look up, the more you retain and the more you're using them. So I think that's really important. Be a product of the product. This is, I would say, the number one rule is use the oils as often as you need them, as much as you need them, and even more than that. I am a product of the product. I have oils throughout my house, all over my house. I was actually making this first aid kit this morning for fun. I'm going to teach a class on it, but my son is actually going to a camp this summer for a week, and I want to be able to send something with him that he can use because he knows how to use the oils just as well as I do. And I want to make sure he's got a stash with him. But, having your kids learn how to use the oils, you bringing them out in public places and not feeling like you're having to hide them or hoard them, but actually using them so that you know how to use them and how to eventually share them with other people. It's really important to stay connected so that you do feel like you are getting help and you are getting more educated. So I tell people to go to DoTerra.com. There's always new articles up if you're interested in the science behind it. When I first started using the oils, I actually used the oils for 3 years before I got into doing the business of doTERRA. And I was obsessed with finding out information on my own without asking anybody else for help. So I would go to doTerra.com. I would go to the YouTube page, which I'll show you. I was never part of a Facebook group until I started the business. I don't know if it just wasn't a thing 5 years ago or what. But things like the Daily Drop app is awesome. Our Facebook groups, I feel like, are getting better and better, and more information is being shared there. Things like the weekly Zoom or, those type of things, I think is really important to get on so that you are feeling connected. You're a part of a team and a community, and so you're getting more education and you're getting more involved, in what's going on. I wanted to play this video for you, but I don't think I'm going to play it, but it's called The Healthcare Revolution. And it's like a 3-minute video that's really good. Talks about how the world is, turned into working for the man, a 9-to-5 job, and kind of working for your next paycheck, working for that next vacation, instead of living your dreams, instead of helping and empowering your own family. Things like making sure you have good benefits from your job, instead of how can I help my family on the foundational level of health. So it's a really good video, but if I can post a link to it. It's really good, but I don't think I'm going to take the time to play it right now. Another thing that I really like is the YouTube channel that doTERRA has. So this is one way that I educated myself was I went on YouTube when I first started learning about oils, and I would watch any video I could find on different oils, on different recipes, on different people using oils and how they're using them with their family, just so I could learn about each oil. And so it's really important. So doTERRA, if you go to YouTube and then it's doTERRA Corp, I think CORP is the name of their kind of channel on YouTube. There's tons of videos, and it kind of leads you down a wormhole of different videos and really important, good information. So check out that for product information. So when you talk about kind of going from using oils and being a product of the product, how do you make that shift into doing it more as a business or growing outside of just using them for you and your family? And I think the first thing to do is come up with why you're doing it, what your goal is behind the reason. So I know for you, Charity, in this case, you said MS was your big reason why you wanted to use doTERRA and be, doing it as a business, because you wanted to feel like you were helping other people using oils for their needs on a medicinal level and actually helping get off medications and all of that. So that's a huge goal, and that's a huge why, and helping other people do the same thing, is awesome. And so I think writing something down like that, it can be different for every single person. So for my husband and I, our first big why was that we wanted to be able to replace the job he had. He didn't love his job, and it wasn't really getting us ahead in life. It was paying our bills, but wasn't really doing more than that for us. So now being able to do doTERRA full time together, we actually have taken our why kind of to the next level, where we have our financial needs met, but now we're going beyond that, and we want to help other people with their financial needs, to help them figure out this lifestyle so that they aren't having to work for the man from 9 to 5 every day and waiting for that next paycheck, but instead being able to empower these individuals. And I'll tell you what, when you see people rank advance and be able to quit the job that they were at and be able to take their family on a vacation because they actually have money now to do that, it's really awesome to see, as a leader, see these other people do that. So setting goals is an amazing way to actually take that first step in the right direction of building a business, of stepping into sharing and building with the oils. The next step, I would say, is building momentum. Really trying to figure out how you're going to get that ball rolling so that you can build that foundation of doing this as a business. So you kind of move slowly from using the oils to sharing the oils with people, into finding that momentum and that balance into building and actually making money with doTERRA. So the transition into sharing oils with others. First of all, I think it's really important to note that it can happen really naturally and organically. The process usually goes like this. You make a list of 100 people, anybody that you can think of, from your childhood all the way up to when you're an adult, and kind of all the facets of growing up. So elementary kid friends, kids you played sports with, church friends, your parents' friends, all the way kind of up to when you went to college and your college friends. And the key that I like to point out is don't put judgment towards anybody. You don't know their financial needs. You don't know if they like natural health care or not, but just to actually list the person, just put the person down so that you have that list to kind of start with. And then if you've been doing this for a while and you've been using oils for a while, once you've made that list, you might go back through and highlight or circle who you have sampled already, who you have shared oils with, Maybe you've enrolled a few people, right? You know, even though you've written their name down, put notes next to them. Maybe write who would be willing to host a class out of that list. Who might be interested in doing the business, if you've talked to them or haven't talked to them. And then another key note is to communicate with your team daily. Together, you can accomplish more. We all know this. It's easier to do something together than it is to do it alone. And that goes upline and downline. So if you've been using the oils, let's say for 6 months to a year, and now you're starting to share them with other people, do you know who enrolled you? Do you know, was it a friend of yours? Was it Charity? Was it Shannon? Was it somebody that you know, or was it a friend of a friend that's not doing it as a business, but you are interested? That's okay. We work as a team and we work together on purpose because it's easier to grow when you have somebody you're working with. So, reach up and find out who that person is, or reach down to the people that you have on your list and go through and, make some notes about it. And that's really going to be the start of how to get going in sharing the oils. The next step is really to dive into it or jump into it, is taking that list after you've gone through it and invite people to a couple of classes. So plan a couple of classes throughout the month. I like to tell people to try to host a couple of classes inside your own home, or at a Starbucks if you feel more comfortable, or something like that, where you have a few people come with you, or do at least one at somebody else's house. So when I first started on the business side of things, I hosted a lot of classes in my house, in my own home. And sometimes I'd have one person show up, sometimes I'd have 3 people show up, sometimes I'd have nobody show up. But I was consistent in doing that, in teaching classes at my house. And so people started to know, oh, Liz is doing classes at her house every Thursday night. I can't make it this week, but I can next week. Or, I have something going on this week, but I have a friend that I know wants to come. Can she come? Whatever it is. But I think the key really is also to host classes outside of your own home at least once a month, because that's going to help you branch out of your circle. Because what happens is, I'll give you an example. I have a girl that's on my team, and she enrolled this lady. She did a one-on-one for her. The lady loves the oils, uses them all the time. So Christy asked her, do you want to host a class for me? And she was always like, yeah, let me put something together. But she never put something together. This happened for a few months. So Christy said, hey, I would love it if you wanted to host a class. I don't mean to bug you. And she's like, no, you're not bugging me. I just need to put something together. So instead of hosting at her house, she actually hosted it at her daughter-in-law's house. And her daughter-in-law invited 5 or 6 friends over, hosted the class. Christy went and taught it. And funny enough, but this daughter-in-law actually was interested in doing the business. Christy didn't know her because it reached outside of her circle that she knew. And this daughter-in-law, her name is Morgan, and now her and Christy talk every single day and do the business together. So reaching outside of your circle is going to help you find builders that aren't in your circle. So I think that's really important to note that, somebody that wants to build might not actually be a friend of yours right now. It might be it might be a friend of a friend, or a friend of and then their relative. You never know. And who wants to host or who wants to build. But I think it's good to always keep trying to get others to host, to grow outside of your comfort zone and outside of your circle of influence, your friends and family. Some other steps that I think happen very organically is try to make 2 new contacts a day. And these contacts don't have to be a conversation about oils the first time you talk to them, but just having conversations with new people about kids, about life, about family, about whatever. You're sitting at a baseball practice and you're talking to one of the moms there, and you're just finding out more about her and her family. And then organically what happens is after a few times of talking to them, something might come up that you can introduce the fact that you love oils, use oils, and have something maybe you could share with them if they have a concern or need for them. I feel like that happens to me a lot because I put it out there a lot. I try to have conversations with people. I am an introvert and I would rather stay at home, but I do force myself to go out and be a part of life outside of my house so that I can interact with other people and run into people and have conversations with people, whatever it is, but trying to reach outside of, who you normally talk to is easier said than done, but it is a really great thing to shoot for, is to try to get 2 new contacts every day. And then reach out to 2 people from your list every day. So maybe you have people on that list of 100 or more that you knew in elementary school. Find them on Facebook and send them a message, don't shout out oils at them right away, but instead be like, hey, haven't talked to you since 4th grade. How are you? How's life? I'm living in wherever and I've got 3 kids, whatever it is. Just reaching out to people that maybe you once knew, but you can reconnect with. And then, over time, figure out if you can help them and send them a sample, or just do some sort of service for them, get reacquainted with them, whatever it is, but just reaching out and growing, that circle of people that you're talking to. And then after you've taught some classes, I think it's really important to follow up with people from those classes that have either enrolled, haven't enrolled, didn't show up and said they were going to show up, whatever the case may be. And you might make a list of those type of people, and categorize them out and follow up with a couple of them every single day through a text message, a phone call, a service of some sort, like, hey, I was thinking of you and I wanted to stop by with a plate of cookies for your family, whatever it is, just being there. I've been doing something lately that's really helped. I feel like I made up a bunch of roller bottles, just a blend that I made with Wild Orange, Serenity, and Balance. And I put Happy plus Calm oil on it, blend. And I made up about 10 of them. And I've just been sending them out to random people in my organization. And I've gotten some really good feedback, like, just thanks for the love. I needed this today. This really brightened my day. It's fun to get happy mail. I've had people say that to me, and I'm not doing it for anything other than just to say thank you and do something nice for somebody else. I'm not asking for anything like in return, or they didn't win it's not like they won a prize. This is just totally random, because I'm wanting to do that. So I think that's really important. It's a good way to follow up with people and to kind of catch people off guard. Okay, so if you do these things that I just talked about, setting goals, you make a plan, teach some classes, be consistent, you will reach this goal that you set. But the real key is consistent. It's being consistent in doing these things. This is what's going to really help you grow. And it doesn't matter what pace you're doing this at. You could be trying to do it slow, fast, or somewhere in between. But the real key is being consistent with it. So the thing with doTERRA that really, I say this a lot, but I love so much, is that doTERRA intertwines with your life really well. At least it does for me. It's for my family. It's for my friends. It's for my, whatever. I intertwine it into everything that we're doing. So organic conversations that I'm having with people, that helps my business grow. Sampling people helps my business grow. Teaching classes helps my business grow. I can be having I could have another job. I could have another baby. I could be, doing whatever stage of life you're in. And you can intertwine it into that. So doTERRA really is done in between those moments of life. The key really though is being intentional and consistent with it. And you know, knowing that you're helping other people and it's not a buggy thing, like you're not pushing them, but you're actually genuinely wanting to help with their healthcare needs, that can come off as sincere. You're building trust, you're building friendships, you're building these things that are really going to build your business and build doTERRA and actually bring you some income back. So that's kind of the last part of what I have to say. You know, being consistent throughout the whole process is really what's going to make you grow. I'm going to stop sharing my screen now.